I wanna kill, I wanna destroy, I wanna use my energy to fill the void. I shall travel through time to the depths of the mind, power my dreams with destiny divine.
All the way over in Switzerland. And big news, obviously, this week, as I put my phone over here so it does not interfere with my microphone. Obviously, coaching change. We knew that it was coming with Munster. There were all kinds of rumored names. I think the big one I kept hearing from people was Ronan O'Gara, perhaps. But and then the announcement comes, and I will pull his image up here thusly, if I can find it here. And it will hopefully not boot both of us off the screen here. It should share. No, it tried to boot us off the screen. Give me just a moment here. So, Clayton McMillan, the current Chiefs coach down in Hamilton, New Zealand, also a former Māori All Blacks coach, a crap ton of caps playing rugby. Never got to call it for the All Blacks. He is of Māori blood, born in Australia.
Yeah. Perth, I think, isn't it?
What's that?
He was born in Perth.
Yeah, he was born in Perth over in Australia, moved to New Zealand as a child. Like I said, never made the All Blacks, but definitely a long pedigree in coaching with some high-end jobs. Obviously, the biggest one probably being the Māori All Blacks. And I've gotten a lot of questions, typically from Munster fans, because they know that I'm a big Chiefs supporter. Obviously, I've got my kid on right now. What was your first reaction when you found out about this as a Munster fan?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm going to be straight up. I'm not really a Super Rugby guy, you know. I've paid attention to the Crusaders from time to time, but I'm not a major. But like in Munster's history. We have tried to like Scott Penny was there before Rassie Erasmus, and that was a move that we were trying to take Munster Rugby in a direction of just a kind of a more attacking type of game. Traditionally Munster Rugby is about hard-nosed forward play, and they didn't go in that direction in the end. They kind of went a full 180. But I think this announcement is kind of just, it kind of excites me, because I think Munster are they're moving as a unit. Like, all of their coaches are moving in this direction. Like, it's not just about one guy. You got to have 3, 4, maybe even 5 or 6 guys working in the same direction, and if you have if they're all kind of looking to play a similar type of brand of rugby, then you potentially have something. So when I heard this initially, without knowing very much about the guy, I was quite excited, So yeah, I mean, you can probably tell me a lot more about him than I can.
He has been pretty much at the helm for the last 4 years with the Chiefs. Obviously, one of the top teams in Super Rugby. I mean, this year you're already seeing them. They're starting out unbeaten, some very convincing wins, even without the services of the breakthrough player of the year, Wallace Satiti, because he is out with a knee injury. And granted, it is a bit different than a Munster situation. It seems like with Irish rugby, Leinster gets the brunt of the Irish national players. In Super Rugby, it's a little bit more spread out. Like, you have Hurricanes, Crusaders, Chiefs. Not many Landers making it in these days, but that's because those guys have kind of aged out. But like, it's kind of a similar situation as what he's moving into. Hamilton, which is where the Chiefs are based, south of Auckland. Munster, south of Dublin. The Dublin gets all the big flash. Dublin is blue. Chiefs, red and yellow. I mean, it's kind of a similar situation. It's a club that has a lot of history, very strong history, not just at the top level, but regionally. It's been a good a good club, and I think with him coming over, it's a chance for him to kind of. I mean, let's face facts. We didn't know what Rassi was going to become at Munster. We didn't know he was going to coach World Cup victory. You know what I mean? Like, it took Rassi leaving Munster, taking the Springboks job for him to become Rassi Erasmus.
Yeah, and just if you've any Box fans, that may not have ever happened had a series of events not taken place.
Yeah.
One being the Springboks getting hammered in Dublin. So
yeah, it's kind of a similar situation with Clayton McMillan. He's reached the top of where he can get in New Zealand. Now he's spreading his wings and he's bringing, kind of like I say, it's a lateral move in a lot of ways because, like I said, the similarities between the Chiefs and Munster are there's a lot of them. I mean, obviously not just the team colors, but kind of the geographical situation, the stadium, everything. I mean, FMG Waikato is not Eden Park. It's a smaller stadium. Hamilton is not a massive city. I mean, it's a big city by New Zealand standards, but it's a very blue collar, very working class town. It's not an Auckland. It's not a Dublin. It's not, rich investment bankers. It's a lot of like farmers and blue collar people. A lot of people that work construction and that kind of thing. It seems like like I said, it's a lateral move for him. He's moving to basically the Irish equivalent of the Chiefs, and obviously, yeah, and I think it's going to be really good for not just him, but I think for Munster Rugby because he's going to be bringing in something that's not been there. But I think he's also. I mean, you already have a former Māori All Black on Munster right now with Alex Neckenville. He seems to get injured a lot for some reason, or he's out here and there, but it's going to be a reuniting. He coached him with the Māori All Blacks. He also coached him, I believe. Alex was a Chief as well. So
Chief, yeah.
And I think that's going to. I think that's going to bring more. Dare I say?
Like, I'm a little bit more. I'm a little bit more. Like, I don't want to get too excited because I know, like, the IRFU is. They run a tight ship. You're only allowed to have 3 foreign players, and so I don't know what to say unless.
You look at a situation like, sorry.
Unless they can kind of make a switcheroo, but there may be room for a big signing, one big signing. There could be room for that. Now, like, you have to, like, I'm not sure, like, you're reasonably kind of plugged in from the outside to Irish rugby, but one of the major things that's been going on is the amount of like complaining and belly aching that goes on about Leinster having all the resources, all of the we know they have outside resources that don't really get talked about.
We've discussed this.
There's a lot of other stuff going on there that we can't really quantify, but let's just say players don't want to leave Leinster. That's why they have such a massive roster. But anyway, like it's often perceived that they get preferential treatment from the union, particularly around signing marquee players. Like obviously, the big one is
Jordy Barrett at the moment.
Yeah, Jordy Barrett. Yeah, but I mean there was an even bigger one. An even bigger one for me is the guy Slimani, the French tight head, who came in. Like the IRFU literally put in a rule that you could not have front row foreign front rows. So even if you had space in your 3 foreign players,
you couldn't use it.
You couldn't use it for a front row, and Leinster managed to still get that guy in. But so that kind of pisses a lot of us off. But I would also imagine. This guy is no fool. I'm sure he would have sat down and negotiated his contract, and I'm sure he would have had a plan and a budget in mind, and he surely wouldn't have walked into a situation where, you know, he wouldn't have asked those questions. Have I got room to bring in talent, you know, or do I have to just work with what I've got? I'm sure that would have come up, you know. So I'm hopeful. I know you're talking about DMAC,
so yeah, like the whole situation is it's been rumored that Damian McKenzie has been wanting to go to Europe for quite some time. Obviously, with the eligibility rules in New Zealand, you're not really allowed to do anything. And I mean, the even bigger conversation has been Richie Mo'unga. Tonga and now Samoa are both reaching out to him because he was only supposed to go to Japan for a short time. That's become a long-term contract. He doesn't want to play in New Zealand because he gets paid so much more to play in Japan. And at least from what I've seen, I think the mentality in New Zealand is you have to stay humble no matter what. And I think in Japan, you're allowed to be a rock star because you're getting a huge contract. And I'm not saying it's why like guys like Quade Cooper play there as much as I hate that bastard. But he stays there because the money's good and you get to live well.
Yeah.
I think with Clayton McMillan coming there, I'm sure money had a big chunk of it. But I also think, like I said, it's his opportunity to go abroad to prove that, hey, I can do this at any level, anywhere. And I think he's a perfect fit for Munster. I think he's a perfect fit for that town, that region of the country, for that program, for what they want to build. And I will say, who's to say that he doesn't call, hey, we know you can't come long term. You want to do it. You saw what Geordie's making.
Yeah.
In Leinster. You want to come over here to Munster and do this for 6 months. I mean, I will say this. I reached out to about a dozen other content creators and asked them, Sam Pendergrast or Damian McKenzie, can you tell me which ones were Sam all the way?
Oh, well, obviously.
Leinster Leinster fans, 100%. Oh, no, he's way better. And I'm just like...
Are you serious? Stop.
I think they look at his inconsistency at test time. What they don't realize is he's the leading scorer. I mean, despite Super Rugby not being nearly as dominant as it used to be.
Oh, let me tell you, I just cut across you there, inconsistency, but, you know, he was metronomic against Ireland in the autumn. He was really, he was the best player on the park.
Yeah, and having him come to Munster for 6 months, tell me that would not boost it would boost ticket sales immediately. Yeah. You get to see an All Black playing in your backyard. Yeah. I don't think I think it would be a win-win. And I'm not saying that it would happen, but I would not be surprised to see maybe some of these guys that haven't made the All Blacks but are on the Chiefs saying, hey, look, if the pay's good, I'll come over. You know, it's not like they're moving to a country where the language is foreign. They're moving to a country that has very, very well developed. It's got good education, good healthcare, everything. And it's like, hey, how about I go and chase that bag too and come to Munster and, you know, who knows what happens? Maybe they meet an Irish girl and have a kid, and in 25 years you have another Kiwi on your team that's actually born in Ireland. But
well, look, it wouldn't be the first time. I mean, Doug Howlett raised a family in Cork. He's moved back now, but he actually recently received an achievement award from Munster Rugby. He was in a big dinner that happened in London. And apparently there were some talks went on for this deal at that dinner. So it was basically, there was a lot of guys looking for references for this guy, you know. So, the story I've heard so far, anyway, he's made you know, his initial statement. He coached the All Blacks 15 in Ireland when they were on that little tour. They played in Thomond Park, and he said he was very impressed with the club.
Maybe that was the seller. Maybe that was the selling point right there.
Maybe that's when it happened. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's when the connection was made, because I'm pretty sure they would have been impressed. It's not. Let me tell you, Munster Rugby. It's not like they didn't do their research on who was coming over to visit them in Limerick. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
we'll give him a good welcome and we'll see what happens. You know, so
Yeah.
it's always best to make friends. But yeah, I mean, as regards the coaching setup, so um, uh, it one thing that I don't think it's going to be an issue because like the current kind of the attack coach was also in for this job,
Yeah.
so Mike Prendergast, and he's done a really great job with the Munster attack. You know that's like we're really happy with that. It's one of the reasons why Munster has been able to go a whole season without a coach nearly, and kind of still kind of
The foundation is stable. It's not like a shaky foundation by any
yeah,
means.
exactly.
And I
So he's going to move up, and like they've created this role. He's kind of like a senior coach now. That's what the role is, and obviously McMillan is going to be the head coach. There isn't a DOR, so there's no DOR above him. So he's probably going to be some way between a head coach and a DOR, I imagine, unless they announce something else. And yeah, the structure is going to remain the same as far as I know beneath him. So I imagine he's met all of the guys and they're all kind of on the same kind of page
yeah.
about things. So
I think
so that,
DORs are a bigger thing. They're not so big in New Zealand. Like they exist, but it's not really like the same as it is everywhere else. DOR is more kind of like a president of the team. He kind of makes some financial decisions, and he does have some sway over the team, but it's usually not that much. It's usually
yeah,
the head coach is the final word, and I think with Clayton coming from that mentality into a situation where he gets to still kind of have a little bit of that director of rugby role to it, I think it's nothing but a win-win. I think it's a great selection. I mean, for me, honestly, the best part is I don't. I need to get another Munster jersey, man.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I've got the alternate, the off blue one, the bluish green one. I need. It looks like. I mean, it's only fate, right? I mean, it's like
yeah.
it was the first Irish jersey I ever owned, and now it's like my favorite New Zealand team coach is there. So it's like it's in the stars, man. I am a Munster supporter.
He's a Munster fan now. I was thinking
Yeah,
that now. I was
it's
thinking that before he came on. Is like this guy. He's 100% Munster now.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely. I was pretty much that already, but this pretty much just solidifies it. If you ask, hey Keith, hey, who's your Irish team? It's Munster. Like
Yeah.
there's no other way to look at it. I mean,
Yeah,
like
you can't wait to beat the crap out of Leinster already.
oh yeah, no. Like I know it's going to be after this season he comes in, but like I think, like I said, I think it's nothing but a win-win for Munster. I think he's going to be great. It's going to be a great environment for him to work in, and I think like as much as we talk smack about Leinster fans, like dude, Munster fans, it's like dude, it's like they bleed for that. Like it's that's their team. You know, they live and
Yeah.
die for it. You know, and it's they're proud of the tradition, they're proud of the history, and you know, the first person to tell me was Zora down in Ireland, and she's like, "Is he a good coach?" I'm like, "He is a great coach. Like you are in a very capable man's hands. Like he is really good at what he does, and
Delighted.
he will.
Delighted to hear
I
it.
think he will bring. He'll bring something slightly different, but he's going to bring what's expected. He's going to bring winning. He comes from winning. He doesn't come from losing. He comes from winning, and I think that's what Munster needs. And yeah.
Look, I mean, the dream, like, it's not the dream. It's like it really isn't, because the goal remains the same every year. Munster needs to challenge at the latter stages of the Champions Cup. That's what our brand is built on. Like we're known all over Europe for that, and that's. I'm sure that would have been put to him. It's, you know, this is what we're building. We're not there yet, but we need to get back there. I mean,
he's a good guiding guy to do that. He's going to be the guy that he has the pedigree and the background to do that for Munster Rugby. he can get you there. And I've seen him do it time and time again. He will continue, and I think this is going to be, like I said, at the end of the day, nothing but a win-win for Munster Rugby, because I'm not going to be the only one that jumps. You're going to have a bunch of Chiefs fans that are going to be following Munster now. Because
that's great, man. That's fantastic.
Like, you know what I mean? And the colors match, and the mentality and the scenery. I think Hamilton might be a bit more. It's kind of like in a valley between mountains, but I just think it's going to be a great situation for everyone around, and it makes me want to get over to a Munster game a lot more next year. Because
bring your rain jacket anyway. But
dude. I'll tell you what, flying into Auckland, New Zealand the first time, I've never been to Ireland, but I've seen enough pictures. It looks like Ireland, dude. Yeah, it's just green grass hills. Yeah, dude.
A lot of Irish people have told me that about New Zealand. There's loads of Irish in New Zealand, so
yeah, they'll tell you it looks just like Ireland.
It's like home, but the weather is pretty crap as well. But yeah, what would I say? On the other side of things, I'm going to be tuning into the Chiefs now for the rest of the season. So I'm glued. I want to see this guy in action. I want to see.
He is a great coach. He is a great coach. So
because they're top of the league right now, aren't they?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they just started their season. They're only going into, I think, round 3 or 4 this weekend. The start times are terrible for me here because they're in the middle of the night. But I always get up and kind of watch them on replay, and it's a league that obviously the Australian teams are terrible, but you get those same 3 or 4 clubs. The Kiwi sides are always the strongest, and they always have been, and they always probably will be. But
like
I said, this is a good opportunity for Clayton to move up to kind of spread his wings, because he's not getting the All Blacks job. Like that's pretty much locked in for a bit. So
that seems to be the pattern. Just sorry to go across. That seems to be the pattern with players and coaches. If you get passed over for the ABs, well, off to Europe to make a few bob, or Japan and why not?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you're not making it, go make it. Dude, you're a professional athlete. He's a professional rugby coach. Go make your money well. And I think with Clayton, this is an opportunity for him to kind of show everybody, like, I am that damn good, guys. And I think it's going to be he's going to be there for a while. He's going to be there for a hot minute with Munster, especially if the success starts and keeps going. He's not going to, because you're kind of at the mountaintop, like the next would be France, but France is so insular with their coaches, man. Like it almost feels like you got to be a part of the mafia to get a coaching
job.
You're
right. You're 100% right. If you look at the way Ronan O'Gara has been treated over there,
it's almost like you got to be a part of a mafia to get a job in France coaching. And I know those coaching jobs pay really well there, but it's almost like you've got to be kind of in a circle to get that. So if you're not
in the league.
But we'll have you back on, man. I know we've got plenty of more Six Nations. We got the next round. We got France. This is it. This decides it. You beat France. You've pretty much won the whole tournament.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that, I'm sure, in 2 weeks. We'll have to do a chat with that one after that game, because I'm going to be wearing my Irish jersey on that Friday once again to work.
Yeah.
Because that's who I want to win the whole shebang-a-bang and go for the three-peat, man. So thank you for staying up late. I appreciate it, man.
100%, bro.
Do you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say it, but it's probably going to go down a rabbit hole. It's a big game for a Friday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe Sunday would be a better day, something like that.
I feel so weird watching rugby on Sundays, though, too, man. Saturday is rugby day. I mean, it's kind of weird. We had the MLR a couple of weeks, the second round last weekend. We had one game on Friday. The rest of them were on Sunday. There were no Saturday games. And I think, man, that's kind of wrong, dude. You have to have rugby on Saturday, man. So it's kind of like during the World Cup when they'll do those games on like Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And you're just like, this is not the day you should be playing games.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.